What's up, guys? My name is Paula. I'm currently 6 weeks out from my first bikini show. This is not the first time I've competed. It is my first bikini show, but I competed in figure about 10 years ago, and I did not do very well, and I did not love the process. And I said that I would never compete again, but I recently decided to because my coach thinks that I have potential to win. And that's the only reason that I'm doing this. So I'm really excited to compete for the first time. I was not very excited 10 years ago, and that reflected in the result. But what I'm gonna be doing is taking you guys through the next 6 weeks of this prep, and then afterwards what my reverse will look like if I have to reverse diet. But today I'm gonna be showing you about my nutrition, what do my macros look like, how many calories I'm eating, what do my meals look like, my training. I'm gonna show you a bit of my workout, talk about that. We'll talk about my supplements, basically what the whole plan looks like. And what's the most exciting is that I actually got my suit in the mail today. So I'm gonna be unboxing that for you guys so you can see what color it is and what it looks like. That's always exciting. And I think I chose the perfect color. So I'm really pumped about that and pumped to try it on for the first time. So I'll show you some posing as well, because that's finally improving. But I'm just excited to document this whole journey for you guys because enjoying the process of competition prep was foreign to me, and I'm actually enjoying this. My mindset's been really great, and we'll see how that goes over the next 6 weeks, but can't wait to take you guys through it. All right, so 6 weeks out, it's coming to an end. It's now 5 weeks and 2 days until my show, and I'm making breakfast. I always have 2 whole eggs and 3 egg whites and some blueberries. So it's like 85 grams of blueberries. It's literally 10 grams of carbs worth, but usually I would have 30 grams of carbs at breakfast. However, I'm eating very low calorie, of course. Looking pretty lean still, obviously. I'm getting leaner. My weight has been stuck at like 132 for the last few weeks, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I do like to wake up and start the day with reading my Bible, spending some time with the Lord. Today I didn't do a great job of that. I woke up and I just kind of scrolled on my phone, so I feel bad about that. Because I could have read the Bible, I could have gotten some steps in, I could have whatever, but it's getting cold. It's cold here now, so steps are hard. I'm just going to be using my walking pad a lot. But we're making it work, and hunger level, I would say, is like a 4.5 out of 5 right now. I'm submitting my check-in to my coach today, so he's probably going to take some food away because I've been at 132 for the last like 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks. I mean, I feel like I'm looking leaner, but it's just crazy that my weight hasn't really dropped past this point. Could be because my steps weren't perfect the past couple weeks. It's like there was 1 week where my average was 12,000, another where my average was 10,000. And like, it is just so important to keep every single variable consistent, especially in contest prep. So I'm checking myself on that, and I'm just making it like literally non-negotiable. I will walk super late at night if I have to, but with how much I work and how much I sit in front of my computer, it's just been really tough. So gotta do what you gotta do. Look what I have. I was hoping it was gonna come in an actual box, but this is as cool as the unboxing will be. I got a Toxic Angels bikini, heavily recommended. Lots of pros wear this brand, very well known. Are you ready? Okay, it is so pretty. I'm so stoked. Look how pretty this is. Yes, I cannot wait. I'm gonna put this on today and do a little bit of posing at the gym. So hopefully wearing my suit is going to invigorate me, and I'll have the best posing session ever today. We'll see. Okay, I'm getting ready to go to the gym, mixing up my pre-workout. I've already had 2 meals so far today, so it should be a pretty good lift. I am doing glutes and hams today, so that'll be a good one because that's definitely important for a bikini. Usually Wednesdays have been a high carb day for me. My coach has me carb cycling 2 high days and the rest are low days. My coach took out one of those high days, which is Wednesday. They're always Wednesdays and Thursdays. He took Wednesday out because he wants this week to be, he said, kind of a depletion week because he didn't actually reduce my other calories, just took out the high day. and then I'm gonna do a refeed on Saturday. He's actually gonna be in town this weekend, which is exciting because we'll be at dinner and he'll just be able to tell me what to eat. So I can show that to you guys as well on Saturday. But the pre-workout that I'm taking is Evogen EVP 3D. I really like this pre-workout because it's stimulant free and your girl drinks enough coffee as it is, but it's mostly just like pump ingredients, which I personally love. There's also some creatine, there's tyrosine, so like focus ingredients. But the primary reason I take this is just to get a good pump on. So drink that on the way to the gym, and then I'll show you guys my workout. All right, I just got to the gym, finished my pre-workout. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what made me decide to compete, since I had said that I would never do it again. So when I competed 10 years ago, I did compete in figure, like I had mentioned. And at that time, I was 25, I guess, and I didn't have the best relationship with food. I even hate like calling it a relationship with food, but you guys know what I mean when I say that. I was in this yo-yo cycle just in my lifestyle, and which is interesting because that didn't really start until I got into fitness, and I'll talk about that another time. But I didn't take the prep diet as seriously as I should have, and I think a big reason why was the reason I did the show was to look a certain way, not because I was actually trying to win. And I think that if I had gone into it with the mindset of I'm trying to win this show, not just trying to complete a show, then I would have actually done better because I would have had a better mindset. But still at the same time, I didn't have as much knowledge on proper nutrition as I do now. Like I understood proper nutrition, but I have a lot more knowledge on macros in general and adjusting macros and knowing that being at very low calories in contest prep is very temporary. There was just a lot of things at that time that caused me stress, and I was single, lived by myself, and I would like binge in my house. So I didn't really binge necessarily while I was in prep, but I just didn't adhere to the diet as well as I should have. So I said I would never do it again because it was too restrictive for me. I love bodybuilding as a spectator, but competing wasn't for me. Well, fast forward to this year, I hired my coach, Marcus, who was my coach back then too. I've known him for like 12 years. He's a really good friend of mine. And I hired him back in late May, early June, because I do keep myself pretty decently lean year round, but I wanted to get shredded primarily because I knew it was going to make a difference in my content on social media and getting clients. I mean, you can say all the information all the time, and people just don't really listen until you show a documentation of like getting very cut. And when you get very lean, it's just noticeable and people are motivated by that. So anyway, it worked, but my internal thought was, all right, well, I'm going to work with Marcus and get as lean as possible so that he can assess my physique and tell me if he thinks I would do well in a bikini competition. Because I just think that I love figure, but I think my physique is more suited for bikini, especially now. Things have definitely changed in the last 10 years as far as how judging is. But a couple months ago, I was like, do you think I could do a bodybuilding show, a bikini show? And he was like, for sure you could. And I said, yeah, but could I win? And he was like, honestly, I definitely think that you could win. And it was because of that confidence that gave me, that made me decide, you know what, I'm in a much different place now with the way that I handle food. I have a much more mature mindset. I feel confident in my physique and the muscle that I've built. So let's just see how I do. So I'm really excited about it. That figure show I had done, my class had 5 people in it. And I took 4th out of those 5. Or so I thought. That I had been telling myself for 10 years, and I've been telling everybody that I've talked to about this. But I recently found the medal from that show, and I flipped it over, and it says 5th place on the back. And I was like, I lost. Like, I lost. I took dead last. So I have been gaslighting myself for the last 10 years, thinking that I took 4th place. But either way, it's kind of also just redemption for myself to kind of come full circle, like do a show again, do really well. I'm feeling pretty confident, but again, I'm up against other people. We'll see how they look, but I'm really hoping that I can place in this show, which will heal my 24-year-old heart from when I did so poorly. So about to walk in and do legs. I'm at a gym called Absolute Recomp in Dallas. There's a couple locations, but it's a very sick gym. It's definitely a content creator type of gym. You'll notice what I mean when I show you what it looks like on the inside, but a very cool design. There's a ton of cool equipment. So that's part of the reason I like to come here to do legs, is because it just has unique equipment that you don't typically see at most gyms, that my gym doesn't have. So Usually I train in the mornings at my gym, but once a week or so, I'll come here and do legs. So let's go. I parked extra far away because I'm really low on steps today and I need to get those up. What does that say? Can you even see that? All right, I'm getting ready to do some seated leg curls. So you can do lying leg curls, you can do seated leg curls. They're just variations of obviously the same exercise. Part of the reason that I like these over lying leg curls sometimes is because whenever you're in a lying position doing leg curls, it's really easy to overwork your lower back when the weight gets really heavy. But when you're in this seated position, you can increase the load without putting any additional tension on your back. Although you do see, like, look at my lower back here, you can see that it is flexing a little bit, but it's not going to be quite so apparent, at least for me, as it is whenever I'm doing lying leg curls. So this set in particular, I'm supposed to be doing, I think it's like 12 to 16 reps, and then on the last few reps I'm doing partials. By the way, I know you can see me speaking in this video. This gym is incredible, but it's so freaking loud that even though I was mic'd up, you couldn't hear me in the audio. So that's why I'm following up here with a little voiceover for you guys. But, so I'm doing my full reps, and then towards the end of this set, I'm gonna be doing partials. So let's see how many I get it this way. I think this is like 90 pounds. And it's really hard. You see how I'm bracing myself against the knee brace? I don't know what to call that. The pad that's on my knees. Doing that to kind of keep my torso in as locked of a position as possible, just for additional leverage. I stopped counting. I don't know where I'm at here. But squeezing out the last few full range of motion, which means I'm getting a full stretch in my hamstrings at the top, coming down all the way, coming back up to a full stretch. And then, what am I doing? Am I getting up? Okay, well, no partials on this one, I guess. Hope my coach doesn't see that. All right, this is my last set. I did 3 sets here. Again, it was like 6 to 12 reps with partials once I hit failure. Hitting failure, by the way, is really hard because it hurts. That's one of the biggest things I found with a lot of women. Not that I'm really trying to put this all on women, because a lot of people will do this, but I have found, just because I train women, coach women, that sometimes it's tough to push yourself past the point of pain to continue lifting. Even though you have the strength to do it, you can finish out the reps. It hurts. It hurts. Failure hurts. You can see in my face, I'm already struggling a little bit here. So I think I actually had to increase the weight. Go Paula. What was that, 100 pounds? 3 reps, 4, controlled on the way up. There's no tempo on this exercise, so I'm not counting specific seconds on the way up, and I can address tempo. Look, you can see I am kind of working my back here, but that's why I'm pushing against it. Look at that, see? That would be even worse if I was in a lying leg curl position. I don't even think that I'd be able to get that weight up. Here come the partials. Lift that bad boy up, reduce the weight, because I can't do any partials at that weight. And then I'm just coming down a little bit from the top, right? So partials from the full stretch of the muscle, because that's the hardest part of the lift, is when your muscle is in its fully stretched position. Yeah, this hurts. I'm gonna try and push through it. I'm not going for any particular number here. I'm just going until I'm like, this hurts too terribly much, I'm done. All right, done, we're done with that. Let's move on to the next exercise. Okay, I am doing barbell Romanian deadlifts here. I took my shoes off because the shoes that I wore this day were a little bit squishy. Those are more running shoes. And for something like this, when you want your feet to be flat and stable, I will take my shoes off for that. So, keeping my back as straight as I can. That way I'm not like extending in my lower back.
which sometimes is what people will do, is kind of overwork that a little bit. One tip on these, by the way, is if you make sure that you're putting an equivalent amount of pressure through your heels and through the ball of your foot. A lot of times people will just push through the heels specifically, and I find when I do that, I mostly feel the tension in my glute ham tie-in, which is literally right below your butt. But if you press through the balls of your feet, then you're gonna feel it a little bit more in your glute. So I went up in weight here. This is 135, which is pretty heavy for me for Romanian deadlifts. Conventional deadlifts, your knees are bent, right? And you're obviously picking it up off the ground. Assuming if you're watching this, you probably know what a conventional deadlift looks like. But I'm putting my belt on now just to protect my back because, again, I've had a lumbar strain in the past. I just want to avoid putting too much pressure on my lower back. So when you're putting your belt on, the goal is not to just cinch it as tight as humanly possible. Yes, you want it tight, but you're going to be bracing against the belt while you're lifting. And that's going to help engage all of your core muscles, the front, the side, the back, because your lower back and your upper glutes are considered part of your core. So what you're doing is you're tightening all those muscles around your spine, and it's keeping your spine stable. So this is going to help make sure that I don't have rounding in my back as I'm coming down. So going into picking it up. And for the record, if you see, I put it there on the rack because I don't want to start the rep. The first rep's always the hardest. I don't want to pull it directly from the ground because that can be kind of tough. So I like starting with it at the top position, holding the barbell, and then descending into each rep. And you see, if you can notice, I sort of reset bracing my core before each rep. It's a little hard to tell from this angle, but just make sure that when you're doing any kind of compound lift like this, that you are keeping your core braced the entire time, which again is part of why we're wearing a belt. And then we're about to get my last set here. I am going pretty heavy and taking a few deep breaths just to get some oxygen in right before I do the lift. Hyping myself up, obviously. I don't know what I'm listening to here, but well, yeah, let's adjust that real quick. Nice. A little bit too a low-cut sports bra here for doing bent over movements, but whatever, at least I'm facing a mirror. All right, form's not too terrible. Bar path looks good. Nice, nice, Paula. You're real strong. And this is a glute and hamstring exercise, one of the staples. I do this pretty much every single training block. I have RDLs, whether it's barbell RDL or dumbbell RDL. But anytime I go this heavy, always wearing the belt. One of my favorite things about this gym is that it has such unique equipment. Like, this is not something that you're gonna find at a lot of gyms. And I'll be honest, you can see how I'm like kind of finagling the machine right now. It's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes trying to figure it out because it's like, keep sliding towards me. And while I'm actively doing these hip thrusts, I have to like make sure that this section of the machine, like where the bar is, stays in the appropriate position. So I'll be honest with you, I think that I'm going to continue to do these with just a barbell on a bench, because while this machine, it is pretty cool, I think it's, I don't know, I just prefer barbell hip thrusts on a bench. If I were to critique myself on this, there's too acute of an angle on my knees. You do want to have a 90-degree angle when you're coming up into a hip thrust, because that's going to make sure that you're feeling it more in your glutes and hams. If your feet are too far back, then you're going to feel it a little bit more in your quads. And I think I might have adjusted on this set. Yeah, I think I watched the video and then I was like, all right, push your feet forward a little bit. So now my knees are at more of a 90-degree angle, which means I am feeling it more in my glutes and hams. You can see my lat, look at that, nice. I wish I could stay this lean year round, but it's just not realistic to do that, if I'm being perfectly honest. But this exercise, staple for glute development. Another thing that I do every single training block on my glute ham day is make sure that I'm incorporating hip thrusts. Yeah, cool machine in theory, but after rewatching this, I realized that I don't think it's my favorite, to be honest with you. I will say though, if you're somebody who has access to a hip thrust machine like this at your gym, and you have a tendency to have a tough time with barbell hip thrusts, it would be a good idea for you to use this machine or something similar, because it does keep you locked in place. Like, the barbell is guaranteed to be stable because it can't like move left or right, if that makes sense. I can't be unbalanced in this. That's why I love machines, especially for like hypertrophy style training, bodybuilding. If your goal is to build muscle, to look a certain way, I really love machines. It helps you isolate your muscle groups. It's not that dumbbells and barbells are not good, but machines are just, they're safer because, again, it locks you into position. So machines I also think are really good for people who are a little bit newer to lifting weights, because it helps you build some strength while in a safe position, so you're not compromising your back, your spine, whatever, and allows you to just focus all your mental energy. Now, this machine I wish was in every single gym. It is legit. You know, you'll see a typical hip abductor, adductor, ADD, is where you're coming inward, and then abductor, ABD, is when you're going out like this. But you see how it's kind of like going down at an angle? I have never felt a better contraction in my glutes this way than I have in this machine. I think that it's phenomenal. It makes me so sore right in the spot that I want. It's awesome. If you'll also notice, I've dropped the weight a couple times. What I'll do is I'll start with a little bit of a heavier weight on something like this. There's those partials. And then I'll drop it down as I start to achieve failure, or if I feel like I'm not able to get full range of motion. For the record, some of these, like the typical abductor machines, sometimes they don't always come in. Next time I film this, I'll show you something that I do to make sure I get full range of motion, because like my knees are coming as close together as possible at the bottom of each rep. But sometimes abductor machines just aren't designed properly, or just with wear and tear. It's like the starting position, there's like the foot gap between your knees, and that doesn't allow you to really get full range of motion. So I'll like put yoga blocks between my knees and the pads, just so my knees at the starting position are touching each other, and then you get full range of motion. All right, I just got home from the gym. Usually what I do post-workout is I just eat a regular meal. I already have one chicken thigh cooked, but what I usually do is I just cook as I go. And that's not enough for one meal, so I am gonna throw some chicken thigh into my air fryer. It takes about 10 minutes to cook if I chop it up. This is the specific chicken thigh that I buy from HEB. I don't know if this is sold everywhere, but what I always suggest people do is look for like pasture raised, especially if it's chicken thighs, because chicken thighs are certainly dark meat, they're fattier, but if you get like conventional chicken thighs, like Tyson brand or whatever the store brand is, that's always fattier. Like if you look at the label and compare the label, this is, we'll see here. All right, so this is 4.5 grams per 4 ounces. If you buy like Tyson chicken, like I said, then it's like 17 grams of fat per 4 ounces. So it's pasture raised, it's a healthier animal, which means it's naturally gonna have lower body fat. Slow grow, so it's not, you know, they're not growing the bird as quickly as they possibly can. It's not quite as fatty, but I used to always believe that you have to eat the leanest protein possible in order to lose weight, and it's just not true. You can eat whatever protein sources you want. That's irrelevant. I mean, certainly the higher fat it is, the tougher it is to stay under your calorie goal, but as long as you're hitting your calories for the day, then you're going to see results. This is my absolute favorite seasoning. Anything Traeger is phenomenal. They're like 10 bucks a pop, but they're so worth it. My personal favorite is the garlic and chili pepper. It's not spicy. The chili pepper is, it sounds like it would be, but it's not. and sprinkle some on. Some people use liners inside their air fryer, so it's like less mess to clean up, but it kind of defeats the purpose of air frying in my opinion, because the liner prevents the air from circulating through, so it doesn't get crispy. So I'm gonna put this in for probably 12 minutes since I didn't cut it up. If I cut it up into pieces, it cooks quicker. I just don't feel like cutting it up right now. So 12 minutes, and then I'm just gonna put it with some rice. We always have a bunch of rice cooked. We just cook it in our Instapot. And I'm having about 113 grams of rice, which is the equivalent of like close to 30 grams of carbs, I think. And then I'll do 150 grams of chicken. I don't remember how many grams of protein that is. I wanna say it's 30, I'd have to look at my macros, but I will tell you what my macros are. I just don't remember them off the top of my head. But the way that my day goes, I usually have eggs and berries for breakfast, and then I have chicken and rice, sometimes vegetables. I don't always have the vegetables, but eggs and berries, chicken and rice, a third chicken meal with vegetables, and usually green beans. And then I'll have, at the end of the day, an English muffin with yogurt. And recently, my coach had taken my English muffin out of my plan, and I was so upset about it because I looked forward to it, and he put it back in, but he took out the peanut butter, and I was like, that defeats the purpose of me having an English muffin. But it's fine, I'm still eating it, and I'm following the plan, so it's working. But I do get a refeed on Saturday, so I'm very excited about that. But if you guys like this type of vlog style content and seeing what this process is like, click like and subscribe so you can see my next post. I'm gonna be doing a video every single week leading into the show, and then I'll document my peak week, which is the week before the show. Things do change. I think there's depletion, there's water manipulation. I don't know how all that works, which is one of the biggest reasons why I hired a coach, because I don't wanna have to trial and error it myself. When you're trying to win a show, trial and error is really not an option, so it's always best to hire a coach. And he's extremely experienced and extremely successful. So I will continue documenting this post-show as well to show you guys how I do my reverse diet and how I, incorporate more flexibility back into my regimen again without my weight going up too much. I mean, it's going to go up naturally because I'm certainly not gonna stay this lean year round. But ideally, I would prefer my weight to only go up by maybe 5 pounds and see if that's sustainable for me to stay there, because I just like being lean. So like, subscribe, leave some comments if you have any questions, because I am gonna be using these to answer your questions for you guys as well. And in a few weeks, I'm also going to be releasing a podcast, which I'll also be posting on my YouTube. I'll have it on Spotify and Apple, I guess. I don't really know the process of like getting a podcast on those platforms, but my media guy does, so that'll be nice. But I'll be using that podcast not just to talk about fitness, but a lot of self-development, a lot of life. It's gonna be a lot of tough love, things that I talk to my clients about. So I'm really excited about that, but hope you guys stick around for more. Say bye to the puppies.